Hey, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of the Overlay, a poker podcast, brought to you exclusively today.
Oof, I love it.
By CCG Poker. That's it. I only feel that's it because I promised I would say I would pay for part of it, and that would be the company. And then this is mostly about Team CCG, so I figure episode 56, we're going to just straight up go, it's sponsored by CCG Poker, the WSOP episode. The acronym episode. Only using acronyms to TALK. Today.
This is going to be tough. You're going to have to play that game. I'm out on that. Once we start talking poker hands, I'll just go UTG, the C/O, and the BTN. We'll talk like that. But
nice. No cap, Brandon. I don't really.
No cap.
Did I use that right?
Not really.
I don't really. Just like when a player says I got stacked or I stacked off a guy.
I don't understand how this isn't confused. No, stacked off a guy isn't like a poker phrase. It's either I got stacked, meaning my stack is gone, or I stacked someone, meaning their stack is gone. And I get how you get so a stacked does mean you lost it all or you doubled up, depending on the context of the way you use
I don't like it. I don't like it. But anyways,
stacked off means you got your stack in and lost.
Right. I think you're a stack off. Anyways,
thanks.
Episode 56. I'm your host with the most, the captain of Team CCG, regardless of what anybody says.
Yep.
I'm joined. Ken. That's me, Ken.
Well, you do have a circuit final table, and nobody else on Team CCG does. So.
True, I got second. I'm like the PLO tournament guy. Brandon's like everything else. So unless you're looking to play a PLO tournament only, not cash game, just tournament, this is the difference. then I'm your guy. Other than that, I'm not the expert in anything other than golf. If there was a golf portion of poker, I'd be in.
Yeah.
And we're joined today by Brando, the only paid professional poker player on Team CCG at the moment. We're looking for more, so if you guys want to get in on this,
and the bar's obviously pretty low.
Yeah. If I'm the captain and Brandon's the first mate, we're probably good. You guys could jump in here, so get in on it. Let us know if you want to be thought of or not acknowledged, but if you want to be like scouted, you got to let us know. So we'll go from there. Today we want to talk about, in all seriousness, although we are going to talk about Team CCG, we want to talk about Brandon's main event run. Today is middle of November. What's the date today? 15th?
November 16th?
16th. Today's the 16th. I think Brandon and I just recapped that at the time of this recording, which is Tuesday around lunchtime, they just got to a final table of the main event. So they're at the final 9. The November 9 is back. It's just
spoiler alert.
There's no break.
Make the final table.
No, Brandon did not make the final table. But a couple of things I want to go over. Brandon's Twitter takeover was a massive hit. Got us a ton of new followers, a ton of new people on Instagram, a ton of new people on Facebook, even though it had nothing to do with any of those things. It was just Brandon on Twitter. But it was great, like the reach and the number of players that like reached out and were like, "Oh, Brandon, go get him." There were a lot of "Let's go, Brandon" comments, which I thought was great. That people were supporting you. Has nothing to do with anything else, which was awesome. And it was your first main event tournament, yeah.
First
was
of things.
Was it your first WSOP experience in Las Vegas?
No. I did go to the WSOP in 2011 when I turned 21, and me and my boy Jimmy got our full tilt money. We got that paid to us.
Nice. Forgot about that. I do remember that. So, and you played some events, but you obviously didn't play the main event.
No. We played a couple 1500s, and that was
nice.
It.
Anything happened then?
I was chip leader in a 1500 near the dinner break of day one, and then I didn't cash. And Jimmy wasn't very happy with me. And then we flew home on Spirit Airlines in silence and didn't talk for a week.
Spirit Airlines is rough. As a poker player, as a businessman, as just a person on the planet Earth, Spirit might be the worst experience of all time. Like if you want to go to the bathroom, you have to put a quarter into the door to get it to open.
It's basically like Aldi.
Yeah.
Well, Aldi
it's
before
cheap.
they improved.
Don't get me wrong. Like you can
Aldi
fly
before they improved.
for like $50 round trip from Chicago to Las Vegas.
You're going to have to pay for your seat. You're going to have to pay for your leg room.
Do you want a seatbelt
for your pack?
Do you want a seatbelt? Oh yeah, you got to get that. Oh, do you want air? Yeah, you're going to have to pay for that. Do you want to use a light? Yeah, it costs 12 cents a minute. Bathroom, you got to pay for. Drinks.
In-flight internet doesn't exist.
Drinks are a joke. Yeah, you have to unload the plane at the end. Otherwise, right?
The luggage for Spirit Airline Flight 411 is now on the runway for you guys to sort through.
Get your shit, or we're gonna sell it on eBay. It's very true.
But yeah, that was my first experience, and I remember going there with about $400 in my pocket and a $300 limit credit card that I had about $180 left, and we stayed at Excalibur for $20 a night.
Yes,
and
yes, feed me.
Yeah,
love it.
So little different experience.
If you as a poker player, I just think it's something in all people's lives. Like you appreciate things so much more if you do something like that, where you go and you try to like make a go of something, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be poker, but for a lot of us, it's poker, right? Like if you don't go to Vegas or Reno or wherever, Texas now, some kind of poker place where you can play poker a lot. There's a lot of action going on. Excuse me. And you're not literally checking your like First National credit card or whatever it is. Like, remember those really bust out, like they always have cool names like First Premier. Like you're not the first or the premier anything. And my credit limit's $279. But I had one of those in college, and it's like I got to call and find out what the limit on it is so I can find out if I can pay this bar tab that I already ran up. Like it's like a rite of passage as a poker player. Like you got to hit bottom. So, I mean, when you play in the early bird and you win at $500 for first place, you're going, man, I appreciate this so much more. Because I remember the days when I had to figure out how I was going to pay that $20 room at the Luxor. What was it called?
I stayed at Excalibur.
Excalibur, that's even worse.
Last time. Yeah. And I mean, I remember that like the buy-in to the 1500 was like more money than I had in my life. It was like more than my life for life. Right. How much of your bankroll is this, sir? Well, it's 141% of my bankroll.
I had to borrow money to get into this.
Yeah, like I put up 300, and then Jimmy's staking me for 1,200 here, and that's the only reason I'm ever even here.
Oh,
but anyways, yeah. So this time a little different.
That was your first experience, Spirit Air,
and it was like 4 days after I turned 21. I remember I could have been the youngest bracelet winner ever if I won the event.
Oh,
and
really?
So that was
That's kind of awesome.
It was. That's kind of like was my like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go like, 21 years and like 3 months is the record. So I was like, I give you 21 years and 4 days.
That would be tough just because like it's your birthday. Like it would be hard to miss that.
Right. Plus you have to have like the right birthday for it to happen.
That's what I mean. Like you got to have like a late
birthday
June.
In December, you're drawing debt.
Yeah. I could be like the youngest 40-year-old to win a.
40-year-olds don't
July
win
2nd
anymore.
Yeah. All right. So enough about your shitty first experience at the WSOP. Now you knew or know. Now that let's rewind. Let's go back in time a little bit. We're going to talk about Brando's. What gave you the idea to go out there? Because you and I said we were going to go. Obviously, that was when we thought it was going to be in the summer. It got postponed.
So honestly,
November's not a time that I could go. There was a lot of vaccine and mask stuff. So like I had written it off as like we're not going. What gave you like the little fire to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this?
We talked about it on here like a bunch of times, and people had mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, just like you don't really think you're gonna do it. It's like yeah, I'm probably gonna go. Well, then I went down to Southern Illinois. CCG in Tuscola.
Nice.
And I walked in there for the first time in like a year and a half, and like really like nobody even like recognized me with my hair. And, like they're like, oh, is that Brandon? Like I haven't seen you in forever. And then, a random dude just like sat at my table and was like, hey man, you going to go out to the main event? Like I've been listening to you on the podcast. Like, and like really, I had kind of no intentions of doing it. Like 10,000 is a little bit of a stretch. Going to Vegas in November is a little bit of a stretch.
It is. It's a tough time to go.
It was just a lot of like little things that were like, do I really want to put up 10K? Not really, but I mean, I will. And it's like, do I really want to go out in November? I mean, not really, but I will. And then, it was literally that guy that he was just like, hey man, you're going to go play the main, right? And then another guy was like, yeah, I heard on the podcast, you're going to go play the main. And I kind of just like felt like obligated, or like not bad, but like, I was like, shit, like these random dudes I haven't seen in a year and a half are like thinking I'm going to go play and like excited for me to go play. I was like, screw it, I'm going to go play. Like that was literally just it. I was like, and I instantly, talked to a dude that has a lot of horses, and he's like, I'll buy 20%, just go. I was like, all right, well, if you're buying 20%, I can sell off another 10%, get into this thing for 7,000, and, not write off, but, take a little bit of the burden off the buy-in and, go out there and do it. And it was kind of then the second thing that kind of really, I was like, I'm going to do this. And I looked, I was like, ooh, I'd have to leave, miss 2 weekends at TCG, still some logistical stuff. Then they opened up 2 additional flights on Monday and Tuesday.
Yep.
Flight 1E and 1F, because the travel bans opened up from internationally to come into America. So that kind of gave me I can leave on Sunday after CCG, get there on Monday, play on Tuesday. Now, like, this is kind of lining up where now it's really doable because the days are right. And so that, though, the combination of the people down south really excited for me to play, even though I hadn't shown my face to them in 2 years, plus them opening up a couple extra day ones, I was like, screw it, I'm doing it.
I love it.
That's how I decided.
And then,
I mean,
it even gets weirder.
For you guys that don't know me, right. I don't play Hold'em really, and I don't really play tournaments. No. And when I say that, I mean, I've played maybe 1600s in my life.
In the quadrant from like PLO to No Limit Hold'em, cash games or tournaments, if they were like on the X and Y diagram here, Kenny falls in
the PLO cash game,
and I fall very much into PLO tournament. I like that. I feel comfortable there. And then again, my second most comfortable place would be PLO cash game. After that, like, I'm really, So it's weird for you to be a PLO cash game player only to play in a tournament where you only get 2 cards.
Right.
Makes for a big change.
And it's the best players in the world. Yeah.
It goes more than that. It's the main event. So it's the biggest poker tournament in the world. It's the wildest poker tournament in the world in the sense that it's almost 7,000 people this year, 6,700 or something like that.
6,650.
Okay, 6,650. 2-hour blind levels, and the structure is meant to be extremely deep, extremely slow, and with all intents and purposes, it's a $10,000 buy-in. Like, that's a huge nut. You better be getting. I mean, people are always like, "Man, why is the early bird structure like? You should give us more chips." And I'm always like, "We do. You got to pay more money for it. Like, you got to play the 40 or the hundreds. Like, you can't, or a $60 tournament on Saturday. You can't expect to get the $100 deep stack, structure, which for a one-day tournament is a phenomenal structure. You're not going to get that for the early bird price. So it's kind of the same deal. Like, you're expecting to play and do it, but like, how prepared were you to be able to play several days?
So the like hours actually didn't really. I was fine with that.
The hours, what do you mean? Like the times of day?
Yeah, like the amount of time played was fine. I was just like, the structure's built for good players.
Yeah.
And like being one of, I'll get into that when we start talking about the days and stuff. But like, it really depended on which table I was at. But I really consider myself one of the weaker players at most of the tables I played at. And so like, I was trying to like spin into my head as like a positive thing. Like, all right, the structure's good. Like, but really, like in all reality, if you're the first, second, or third worst player at the table, the structure's better for everybody else than it is for you.
It is. Like,
it's almost like I think I have a better chance of winning if we're doing 4-minute blinds and we're just gonna push shove and
me too
do a lot of 60-40s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I was trying to like in my head feel like, oh, this is a positive thing, but really, it wasn't so much, but it
allows for the better players. I tell this to people all the time, and you mentioned Central Illinois, and we'll kick back to Texas too for the stack tournament that they do for the first of the month every month, the first Saturday of the month every month in Texas. It's the same deal. Like, you get 40K chip stacks. You get these super deep levels. There's obviously our one-day tournaments, so they're 20 to 30-minute levels, whereas the main event, you're talking about 2-hour levels. But you can't blame the structure on your ability or inability to cash in the event. Like, it's not. You can blame the early bird structure for not cashing the early bird.
Sometimes there's just nothing you can do. I mean, you can double up every single level, and it's just sometimes still not enough in the bird.
It's one of those things. If you play in a big bird where it's 80 players kind of thing, Black Friday kind of thing, which is coming up very soon in Chicago, and actually Texas, we're gonna promote a bigger Black Friday tournament. Like, they normally do a 1K guarantee. We're gonna do like a 4K guarantee, so it should be awesome. But anyways,
that's great.
Yeah, so trying to do like the same thing. And actually Central Illinois this year has a big Black Friday event in Mattoon. So Black Friday is now officially going to be the biggest event for Team CCG in general and Paramount reciprocally. Is that a word?
I don't know. You were mumbling.
Yeah, I just said it really fast. It's like, if you don't know how to say something, you just like mumble it, and then they just fill in the blanks in their own head.
Reciprocally?
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Reciprocally?
You can blame when you play in a, because what do we get? We'll probably get like 400 entrants in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Which will be the biggest of the three. We'll get 400 players. Like, by the time you get like an hour after the break, like, I mean, you're probably at that point, if you haven't gone on a crazy, bust out a bunch of players, you're going to be at like 8 or 10 or 12 big blinds pretty fast. Like, that's just the way it is. That's the structure of the tournament, right? Like, it's quicker, it's faster.
You never feel great with your chip stack. No. And even as soon as you feel great, 12 minutes later, the blinds are going up and you're not great anymore.
Yep.
But that's how it has to be.
Yeah, you go card dead for like a half an hour, you lose 3 levels, and the next thing you know, you're like, shit, I just went from a pretty comfortable stack to like, I'm down to like 10 big blinds.
Yeah.
8 big blinds. And then it's like the blinds coming up. So you're forced to play faster, whereas in the main event, that's not really the case, is it? I mean, it is, but it's just
eventually
it's a different experience because it's so long, right?
Yeah.
So you drove, which I want to mention quickly.
I did drive.
You drove. How was that?
I had a blast.
It was fun, huh?
It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
We got lost once. We ran out of gas.
You ran out of gas?
We almost ran out of gas in Utah in the desert. It was great. We did stop in Denver for a quick lunch with my boy Jimmy, who is the same person that put me in the tournament 10 years prior.
Nice. 10 years later.
Uh-huh.
Did you buy his lunch or did he buy you?
We credit card roulette it.
Nice.
Because we both were insistent on paying. And, of course, I lost that flip, great.
What a great way to settle who's going to pay for dinner when everybody wants to pay for dinner. Because, like, I'm a big wheel and dick. I got to pay for dinner. I do that a lot. But
he was like treating it as like I was seeing him, and I was treating it as like, nah, man.
No, I invited you. Like, right. No, it's cool.
And then I had Allison with me too, so it was kind of like my 2 versus his 1.
Credit card roulette is like one of my favorite things to do. So, anyways, you saw Jimmy.
And if it's too big, you do like credit card roulette, and then the person that wins or the person that like doesn't have to pay, they tip, so you get a little bit.
Nice.
Anyways, it was like $100 lunch, so no big deal. So we get into Vegas 10 p.m. on Monday, Vegas time, which is 24 hours after we left, but we gained 2 hours. And so it basically took us 26 hours of driving, but we gained 2 hours. So we were there 24 hours later.
Nice.
Went to sleep, woke up, checked in at the Wynn, woke up, had lunch. Tournament started. I was in day 1F. The last flight started at noon. Vegas time. I rolled in there about 2 o'clock, maybe 2:30. So they were on their first break. It was about an hour wait in line, and that was me being in the VIP line.
And that was to register, correct?
To register, yeah. And now there's just
I will say the only time it's sorry. The only time it's probably bad to be a 7-star or like a VIP member at a casino is during the main event. Because I feel like a lot of players, it's almost like it's not an advantage. With 7,000 guys in a room, and gals, it's difficult to like, right? Like, you see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was maybe like 25th in line in the VIP area, where I was maybe like 100th in line.
So it is a benefit. Regular. Take it back.
It definitely is a benefit, but it was because there was
normally,
like 3 or 4 tournaments.
Normally, it's a lot smaller, like ratio, right?
Yeah, like when I went to the Caesars buffet and went to the Diamond, I like went from being 71st in line to second.
Nice.
Because not many people in the casino. You're much more, right. But in a 10K buy-in, there's a lot of you guys.
A lot of difference. Difference.
So, do you want to just start rolling in with some? You want to just go through the whole experience day by day?
You bought in. It's the first break. You're going down. You sit down at the table. Give us.
Well, hold on. I want to first say something that my inside information said that you can use some on a credit card and some with cash. So I'm like, all right, sweet. So now I'm looking at my Apple credit card. I'm like, how much can I not pay in cash right now? Because that'd be great. Because I only brought like $20K with me. So not only, but when you're going to put 10,000 up for a tournament, you're going to be there all week.
Right.
I'm like, I got 4,000 on my Apple card. So I'm going to just do 6,000 cash, 4,000 tournament. Walk up. They're like, let me see your vaccine. Here it is. Got that all registered for her. She's like, how you paying? I'm like, I'm going to do 6,000 here, 4,000 here. She's like, oh, well, we'll take card or cash, but it's got to be all
one or the other.
Right. I was like, oh, well, I guess you're getting cash then. So I opened up my backpack and counted another 4,000. A little tilted about that right off the bat. But anyway, so just pony.
Do you think it's safer to bankroll? Do you think it's safer to put it in the hotel room in the safe, or just to carry it with you the whole time?
I just carried it with me the whole times.
Yeah, I don't know which one's better.
I don't know.
A little bit of both.
For Allison to play PLO while I was grinding.
I will say, gambler's tip: if you're not doing this, you should. You should have 2 different wads of money in your pocket, so that way, God forbid, you were ever robbed, you could reach in your pocket and give them a portion of your stack and then still have some money in your other pocket. If the guy checks your pockets, you're shit out of luck anyways. But at least give him half. Don't have it all in one pocket. So anyways, mix it up into pockets.
So I honestly was pretty excited, nervous. I had no idea where I was going. I didn't even know what room I was in.
I would be intimidated.
Todd was there and was like, hey, man, you're over here. I was like, all right, cool. Good luck, blah, blah, blah. So I walk up to my table. I hadn't even taken a picture of my ticket yet, taking a picture of my starting stack, texted the group chat, hey, we're going to get started.
We're ready.
Anything like that. I just walk up to the table. Dealer's like, all right, you're in the big blind. And they were at 100, 200 with a 200 big blind ante. So
what's the starting stack in the main event?
60K.
60,000. Damn. Okay, so you're at 100, 200. Go ahead.
I think they played 100, 100 with a 100, and then went on break. And then I was halfway through the second level, which was 100, 200 with a 200. Walk into the big blind, post my 200 big blind, $200 big blind ante, get dealt the Jack 10 offsuit the first hand. And,
it's not I'm not going to lie. It's not a terrible first hand to get in your.
No, not a terrible first hand, but you're in the blinds, and it's first hand and whatever. So I'm sitting down. I'm actually kind of nervous. I know nobody. They've been playing for 2 hours. They got something.
It's nerve wracking.
Yeah. Actually,
it's the main event.
I know, and I've never really felt that way before. I've played bigger pots where I've just lost and laughed, but it was just something different about how many people were there, and you walk past the final table in that whole production area, and there's cameras and there's
news reporters.
The actual feeling in the room is just different. It's Christmas morning almost. It's weird. So I sit down, Jack 10 off. Dude raises the standard 425, double plus one, double plus a chip. Folds to me. I'm like, all right, well, here we go. I gonna call 225 more and defend my big blind here with the Jack 10. Now this guy only had about 9,800 to start the hand. And
how do you lose 50,000 in chips in the first 2 hours of play? I don't know, but go ahead.
I don't know. So, anyways, we're not going to be able to go through all these hands this slowly. But basically, I flopped a jack. I checked, he bet, and I called. And the turn came another low card, and I checked, and he bet the turn, and I called, and then the river came, and he shoved, and I was like, "Wow, it's a pretty good run out." And the turn brought clubs, and then the river bricked out, and he's just all in on the river. And I thought about it for a second. I'm like, sure, I lose the aces and kings and queens here. And I was kind of thinking exactly what you were thinking. How's this guy lose 50,000 already?
No,
and,
he's a mop.
He kind of looked a little moppy. To be honest, I don't know. I just sat down, like literally I have and I'm just, this guy's all in my first hand. I'm like, screw it. I call. He shows ace, king of clubs for ace high and just knock it out the first hand up to 70,000.
So the first hand you sit down in your big blind, you defend with Jack 10 and just
flop a jack, call
you
out,
stack off streets. A guy?
No, he stacked off with
you stacked a guy?
Yeah, correct.
Nice. I'm getting there. 2 years into this podcast, I'll finally figure out what it means.
My immediate joke was I stacked the guy, he leaves, seat open, table, blah, blah, blah. I was like, there's not $2,500 bounties in this thing?
Nice.
Was my joke to loosen up the table. Everyone laughs.
Because now you're like this wild person who just sat down, busts a player, calls with just a jack, and it's like whatever. Welcome to the table. I think that gets you a little bit of respect.
A little bit, and
I'm impressed.
Kind of soothed all of the nerves, kind of instantly.
Nice.
And,
I think it's great.
Yeah. So that was I literally sat down, and now I'm texting the group chat. I'm like, just sat down, just knocked the guy out. Sorry, I don't have a picture of my starting stack, but here's a $70,000 picture, and we're gonna go from there. And everyone's instantly just like blah blah blah. This is great.
What a cool start. Yeah.
Pretty cool start.
So
now, to just fast forward, going through my day one, my table draw, looking back on it, pretty good. They obviously can't look up the players, so you don't really know. Like, you can look up the players on days 2 and going on that we ended up doing.
Because you get your table seats and the players that are at your table.
Seats and yeah, so you get.
You see Negreanu doing that at but obviously he does it when he gets closer to final tables and stuff. I'm sure he does it for the main event too. But once they're in the money and things, then they're looking more at that table draw and figuring out who's a legitimate player and who's just whatever's.
So I'll give a shout out to Ice Hayes and Eric for being I'd wake up every morning. And if it's 10 a.m. Vegas, I guess that's noon here, but they already had my whole table researched. Hey, this guy's good. This guy, look for him. Oh, this lady, she's not so good. She's going to be the fish and blah, blah, blah. And so they kind of had everything broken down for me by the time I woke up the next morning.
Yeah.
So I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So let me just continue on with day one. So There was a lady who, ended up qualifying from a GG poker free roll or through the app, and she was just all pumped to be there and was with her friends, and she was kind of clearly the weaker player. I would consider her not even a CCG $100 deep stack player.
Ooh.
She's maybe she called a big 3-bet with ace 7 and then got it in on ace 5 deuce, and the guy just had ace queen. She just rivered a 7, knocked the guy out. And she kind of, fast forwarding past dinner break, was the table captain. She was in the 5 seat. I was in the 7 seat. So her button was my big blind. She was stealing it over and over and over again. And, if you 3-bet her, she's just calling and then just no fear, just betting flops. And kind of was playing, free rolly. I'm just happy to be here poker. And then she ran up a little bit of a stack, and then she definitely kept the pedal to the metal. And I was kind of I'm going to get this lady. I need to get this lady. This is clearly, and everybody's trying to get her, but it kind of worked out for me that I was her blind steal, which means I did have to play hands out of position against her because she's trying to steal my blinds from the button and the cutoff and stuff.
Right.
But, I was comfortable enough to be all right, I can play hands out of position against her and, let her do some things. And going through my notes here, the first hand I played with her was after dinner break, the first big plot, and call with the ace deuce of clubs, comes jack 7 deuce. She bets, I call, turns an ace. So now I got top and bottom, 2 pair. She bets again and I call, and then the river is a king, and she bets again and I call, and she just flopped a set of jacks. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, nice hand. So I was like, oh, this kind of didn't go as planned.
Right.
So
you thought she was a wild person just pushing around people, and as it turned out, no, occasionally she has a hand.
Yep, she had a hand. So looking at my update, I was down to 25K by dinner break.
I remember that.
Down to 25K. So, I got everybody saying it's fine. And for you guys' reference, like we're coming back from dinner break at like 200, 400. So you still got like 75 bigs or whatever that is. I can't even count that high, but still got plenty of bigs. We're all fine. So then I'm just chilling. And I get all the way down to about 15K. And I do end up getting in my 15K, all in pre-flop, kings against ace king, and doubling up to 30.
You had kings.
I had kings. She had she being the other lady at the table, not the crazy lady, doubled me. She had ace king. Guy to my right's like, I folded an ace. I'm like, oh, you got 2 outs then. And I hold. And so now I'm like, okay, back to 30. We're fine. This is about the 4th level on the day 1. Got to just get through level 5 levels a day in your bag. Then scrolling.
So it's 10 hours a day plus breaks after every level?
Plus 3, 2-hour level and a 20-minute break. 2-hour level, 20-minute break. 2-hour level, 75-minute dinner break. Then level 4 for 2 hours and a 20-minute break, and then level 5 for 2 hours, and you're done. So 10 hours of play, and then 3 20-minute breaks and a 75-minute break. So
it's like 12 hours and 15 minutes.
And 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So
that's a long ass day. So you basically start at noon and roll till midnight every night.
And then, that was just day 1. Then
I got you. So day 1,
the breaks turned into 25 minutes. Yes, but noon to 12:15.
On your day 1, how many times were you all in? Where the life was on the dream was on the line?
Twice.
Okay, and once was with
kings against ace king.
Okay, and obviously you had kings,
and we doubled, and that put me at 30K, and then I dwindled all the way down to about 10K.
Oof.
And 10K, and then the last level of day 1 was 200, 500, I believe. Which is just 250, 500, but there's no greens in play. So 200.
People always freak out about that, and I was like, "Why do you not understand? It's because there are no green chips. Like it's a better deal. Like, anyways, Go ahead.
Yeah. So now at this point, the group chat is saying, "Hey, Kenny, tell him this isn't golf. He needs to realize that going up is good." And they're kind of trolling me and blah 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 blah. So I get down to 10K. I do remember picking up ace jack on the button, shoving, and everybody folding. And I'm just chilling with literally 4 chips. I got 2 5Ks and 2 1Ks. And I'm sending my pictures to the group chat like, this isn't going so hot. So with about 40 minutes left in day 1, a guy raised under the gun, and now he was tight, solid, just never getting out of line, always showing down high cards, good cards. Tight guy raises under the gun. 3 people call, and I got pocket 3s in the big blind. And I look down, and I'm kind of like, well, shit, I got 20 bigs. I got 20 big blinds. This is kind of a good spot in terms of the dead money. Sure, this guy is kind of tight and raised under the gun, so he's going to show up with 10s plus a lot of the time. But I can't pass up.
You're hoping at that point you're up against ace king or ace queen.
Correct.
Because if you're not, you're
spot where
you're really upside down. Yeah. I got you though. Now, before you answer, don't because I want to interject a couple times here. One, being that it's near the end of day 1, and it's like, do I want to really do the whole start over tomorrow? Was that a factor as well? Be honest.
I don't think that was so much of a factor. It was the 3 people that called that were the dead money. That was kind of like...
No, that's a big enticement. Okay, so...
It really is, because that's an extra... If he made it 2.25 big blinds, that's an extra 7 bigs out there.
No, that's good.
Now it's not my 20 bigs to win 40. It's my 20 bigs to win 47.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. All right, so you shove it in.
I shove it in there, all in there with pocket 3s.
Did you do the Brandon pause? Did you think about it? How long?
I did a little 6-second pause every single hand before I acted. Nothing crazy, nothing long, but it was basically look down at 7 deuce, count to 5, fold. Look down at pocket kings,
which we've talked about in other episodes. How that's something that you really need to do, and it's something I never do.
and it comes into play later. I'll let you know. But,
okay. Go ahead.
So then the guy that opened, he's literally with 3 people behind. He's like, "I'll give you some action." Calls 10,000, and he maybe had 70 or 80. He was fine. He's like, I'll call, give you action. And it just goes muck, muck, muck really quick. He flips over the king, queen of clubs.
So he was really trying to make a mover a little bit.
I mean, king, queen of clubs is probably like the bottom of his under the gun opening range. You know, he hit the bottom and then he kind of figured the same thing. I'll gamble with him. Maybe he's probably a 60-40. He probably really doesn't have ace king or ace queen here too often. How bad a shape can I really be in? He really said it best. He's like, I'll give you some action. Kind of gambling. I'm like, okay, cool. So need to win a race.
Honestly, that's what you're looking correct. For that right there. I mean, that's your best case scenario.
I'm happy to race for all my chips here. I got 10,000.
Right.
From 60K
and you're getting, you got all that dead money in play too.
Yep. The great flop of queen 5-4. Flops a queen. And then the turn was a 7, giving me a gut shot to a straight, adding me some more outs. And I didn't pull the whole stand up, good game, blah, blah, blah thing. I just was sat there, watched it. And the river was an ace and I'm out. I'm just kidding. River was a 3.
And the
river was a 3. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we did get it all in 50-50. I did win the race the fun way, though, by him outflopping me and then me rivering the set. And I kind of just I can't believe it actually happened in the main event. You know, I mean, that never happens. It doesn't even happen in the $120 deep stack, let alone in the 10K. So double up to, 25. And then this was, there's a half hour left in the end of day one. And then gets down to the 10 minutes left in the level. And the way that they do it is once the clock hits 10 minutes, they deal 4 more hands and you're done for the day.
Wait, run that by me again.
So whenever there's 10 minutes left in the day.
Oh, of the day. Yeah. I was thinking they do that every level. That sounds goofy as shit. I got you.
End of the day, they say, dealers, finish the hand you're on and deal 4 more. And then we're done. That's it. So I remember the first hand. Now, these 4 hands kind of end up being pretty crucial since I win all 4 of them.
Wait, what? So you more than double up. Okay, so go ahead. Keep going.
Half hour left. And then 20 minutes goes by, maybe in orbit.
And they literally give you the last hand call, the last hand deal. There's 4 hands left.
4 hands left.
All right,
first hand.
Rip it.
First hand.
Day 1.
I'll go quickly.
Wait, and this is the last day 1 of the 2021 WSOP main event.
Yeah,
because you played the last.
There's actually a day 2 playing with me.
Correct. I knew that because I was weirded about that because then we were texting back and forth about I'm like, was his day 2 today or did he still have other day 2s?
Day 2 was running while the last.
I was very confused.
They added the couple.
The first halves were still playing. Okay, go ahead. Four hands left.
First hand, crazy lady opens. She's under the gun. She opens and then I 3-bet with ace king, and she just calls. And then the flop is Jack 10 something, Jack 10 low card, 2 diamonds. I have the king of diamonds in my hand. She leads into me, which she's been doing all day. She leads into me and I call because I got a gutter ball. I got a couple over. She's kind of crazy. I got some chips to play with. I call. Turn is the 6 of diamonds the turn was, I lied, the jack of diamonds. So it was Jack 10 deuce, 10 deuce of diamonds, turn jack of diamonds. So now the board pairs. But now it gives me the king high flush draw with a 4 card flush. She checks. I bet small, trying to take it away. I'm like, well, she doesn't probably have. And, the sizings in the WSOP are really weird in tournaments in general. I really had a hard time getting used to the down bets and, people making it 1,000 and then 2 people calling. So there's 3,000 in the pot. And then their C bet was 700. And it's less than what, the down bets. And I had to get used to that. And everyone's just getting such a good price. And that's a whole nother discussion. Anyways, so I bet the turn after she texted me and tried to take the lead in the pot. And I didn't put her on a jack, didn't put her on a flush. She's been firing all that stuff. I'm just going to try and take down the pot right now with ace king high. She calls. River is the 7 of diamonds, 4 diamonds now. There's maybe 10K in the pot. She bets 6,500 on the river. I check my hand, make sure I have the king high diamonds. I do. I put in the quick call, and she shows king 9 of hearts, which is nothing. She had the same gutter ball I had, except for if she hit the queen, she probably would have got stacked or doubled me up because she would have made a straight. So she had king high bluffing, and I had a king high flush. So scoop that pot. Next hand, I have kings, raise. She calls. I remember it being like an 8 deuce deuce flop. I checked the flop, to show some deception and trapping and make it look like I have ace high and miss the board. She checks back, and then I bet the turn. The turn was like, I don't know, another non, 8 deuce deuce jack, nothing. And then I bet the turn. She calls, and then the river comes a brick. I bet 6,000 on the river. She calls. Kings are good. So now I've just taken 20,000 from her in the next in these hands. Next hand, now I'm in the blinds. I'm the big blind, and she opens the button, and I have ace jack of clubs, and I 3-bet, and she folds. And then the last hand of the night is ace 5 off, and it folds to me all the way in the small blind. I limp the ace. He raises. I call. Flops an ace high board, like literally ace 9-4. I flop an ace. Check, check. Turn. I check again. He bets. I call. River. Check, check. I'm good with an ace. Scoop all 4 pots. Bag 55K going into day 2. And that's yeah. So just literally
you went from life support with 30 minutes left in day 1, thinking I can't believe I couldn't even make it to day 2, to having just
100 over 100 bigs,
a sicko run out on the last.
Basically go back to starting stack, which I've never been more thrilled about.
Wow, that's
so I bet. Yeah, bagged 55K, picked up ace king, kings, ace jack, ace 5 off, scooped all 4 pots.
I love it. We're going to take a little break, everybody. That was day 1 of the main event Brandon action. You won't have to wait very long. Don't everybody freak out at a second here. We're going to get the rest of Brandon's day 2, 3, and 4. How many days did we make it?
Well, don't spoil it.
Okay. Hey, good narrative there, Brando. Don't spoil it, Kenny. We're going to wait. But again, thank you so much for listening to episode 56 of The Overlay. Big shout out, as always, to CCG Poker and myself, because I'm awesome. Thank you, Brandon, for taking the time to go over this. A lot of us will never experience the main event, and I think it's incredible that you went and that you actually took the time. I was very proud of you, so I want to say, not about your play, not about how things end up, which you'll have to wait until next week to hear, and it won't even be next week. I'll probably do it like on Monday or something. I'm going to release this episode on Wednesday, so it won't be too long. You're going to have to wait a couple of days to hear how the Brandon saga ends, or just go to our Twitter page. And I think it'll be great, and I'm excited about it. But I wanted to say I was super proud of you for spending so much time on social media and giving the other players the sweat of being in the main event, because that's not something everybody's going to experience. So that was cool. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. It actually, before we go, it actually was really intense, because the 20-minute breaks seem like so long, they're only time, but it's a 12-minute line to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You're running to get in line, and then by that time it's over, you're kind of like back in your seats, and it all just happens in a flash. And the dinner breaks seem like 75 minutes, but you got to remember, every restaurant in the Rio everybody's
everywhere's
mobbed. I had a rental car and was driving back to the Wynn to meet Allison for dinner somewhere else, because that was more efficient, and I actually,
faster.
If she's already seated and orders my meal,
right,
I can just kind of show up to a meal.
Better.
It is. It really is.
Well, it's funny. You always see on social media during the WSOP, especially the main event, when it's on dinner breaks and shit, and you see the wild videos of people here's a line for the bathroom, and here's dinner break at the Rio during day 2.
It really was mobbed.
It's nuts. It's awesome. I mean, what an experience to have. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. That's Main Event Brandon, Part 1. We're going to wrap it up next week with Part 2, Episode 57. Thank you, as always, for listening, and thank you, Brandon, for sharing this cool-ass story with us. We will see you next week for the conclusion of the WSOP and Brandon.